Hi you guys, welcome to this week's demo. Today I wanted to talk with you about paper cutting and paper layering. So when you have a paper such as this, you oftentimes will find these repeating patterns on the paper, okay? So sometimes people wonder like, well, what's one of the things that you can do with this kind of paper? So what you can do is you can actually cut out some of these images. So here I'm just going to cut out one of the flowers. I'm going to cut out the one that's on the kind of what I would refer to as the next layer. So we're going to go ahead and just cut out one of these. Okay, and then I'll start with one of these pieces over here that's going to be kind of my base piece. So we'll pick, let's see which one of these matches up nicely on top of it. And that would be this one here. So I'm going to pick this section right here to make my card with. Okay, so that's going to be on this one here. All right, so next I'm going to cut out one of these other layers, and what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to do this kind of medium layer. So we're going to say that this is the topmost layer, so now we're going to do the mediumest layer. So on this one, this is going to be the image that's similar to this. I'm going to cut out actually all three of these flowers, okay? So my thought with this is that we're actually creating dimension with our kind of pattern paper. Okay, so we're going to be cutting out this whole image here. Whoop. Okay, so then for the piecing this together and the layering, what we're going to use is we're going to use mounting tape. So when you have these dimensional adhesives, you will see mounting tape, which is this stuff. It has the green along the edge here, you see, and then you have these the pop dots. I find that the pop dots are just a little bit thicker, so if you're wanting to create a lot of dimension, these are great. When I'm using this kind of technique, really like to use the mounting tape, because then you kind of get like you can layer more, and it's not like this big bulky thing. It lays a little bit more flat. So when I get to the end of my mounting tape, sometimes I'll put it onto this piece of wax paper, so then that way I have a little bit more control and I can stick that on there, and then that way if I make like really small pieces, which I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to actually cut these down to size, and then I can stick them onto my wax paper kind of in the meantime while I'm waiting to use those pieces. So what we're going to do here, because we're going to be doing this paper layering, I'm first going to stick on this larger piece that I have here. Okay, I can actually stick both of those on. All right, so this is going to be our first layer. Okay, so that's going to go here, and we're just matching that up with the piece, whoops, with the image right below it. Oh, I'm seeing this is not exactly the same. Do I have one that's most similar? Interesting. Well, we're going to go with it anyway. So we're going to do this next layer here. It's almost the same as one underneath it, but I'm going with it. Then we're going to paste this one on top. So we're actually building up from the background forward. Okay. I'm going to stick this on. And then I'm going to find, I see my flower cutting. It's not perfect, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be exactly perfect. Makes it more dimensional that way. And then I'm going to look for this little inside piece on one of these other little papers here, this little guy. So I can cut out this tiny little inside here. Okay, so we're just kind of creating dimension using the shapes that are already on the paper that it's already giving us. So then that way that's kind of acting as a little bit of a guide for doing our kind of creation here. So, and we can think about it a little bit, but then it's like, oh yeah, let's see what's more in the foreground, what's more in the background. Things that are more in the background you're going to lay down first, and then the things that are more in the foreground you're going to lay down last. Okay, and then to make this even more dimensional, if you wanted, you can even take the Nuvo crystal drops and add them onto the little dots of the inside of the flower, just to give it even more of a 3D effect. Okay, all right, so we have that little piece here. We're going to lay that down there. What's nice about the mounting tape as well is that you can really cut it down to these little itty bitty sizes, where sometimes trying to cut those little pop dots down to size can sometimes be a little bit tedious. Alright, and then you can layer this on here, and I'm seeing now that this is not exactly the same shape as the other one, but that's okay because it still looks really three-dimensional. And some of my crystal drops here, black ones, they do. We were talking about Nouveau crystal drops, so I'm going to add that on the center here. So you can see, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but you actually have this dimension that's happening here, and so you kind of get this really cool kind of three-dimensional effect. So to finish this off, again, this is the only one I'm going to do this on because these other ones are going to lay more flat. Maybe I'll put a sentiment or something up here. I'm going to go in here and add just some of my little drops. The little crystal drops are really cool because they make these perfect little circles. Whoops, got a little overexcited on that one. I don't need to do it on all of them, but these ones that are closest to the center, we will. All right, and there we have our first paper layering. So isn't that cool, that kind of three-dimensional effect? I really like that. It really stands off of the page. And just to finish off this card here, go ahead and we'll mount that on here. I might do like a little ribbon, like I said, or a little sentiment or something on that. Okay, all right, so that's our first creation. All right, on to the next one. Okay, so sometimes you end up with kind of a little bit more of a subtle background like this, and so you can kind of do kind of a paper layering style on something like this. You don't have to be as in-depth, but we can kind of create kind of a fun little design here. So, put this down. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out some of these little flowers here, just because I want to kind of do a kind of a rose kind of a theme. Right. And since some of these roses are kind of already in a little corner, kind of an area, I'm going to actually go with that and kind of follow that same kind of style there, and put it in the corner of this little bit of paper that we have here. Alright, so I'm cutting out that corner section, but then I'm going to actually cut out the flower here. And I'm going to think about where I want to put this. I'm probably going to put it here or put it down here, probably here. And then, since I have a second rose grouping, again, this one's also going to kind of land in the corner just a little bit. I'm going to actually cut this one so it looks like this is not landing on a corner on this side here. Okay, so now you can kind of decide what the kind of double layering that you want to do here to kind of create that kind of layered kind of popping up effect. So you can kind of decide how you want to lay that down. So I think for this purpose, I think I'm going to put this one in the corner and bring that up as far as I can there. All right, so this one we're going to lay down first. Put some dimensional tape on the back side here. And I want this to kind of land just kind of right behind where this other flower will be kind of popping out. Now, since I want this to be double height, what I need to do here is actually create that second layer. So I need to create actually 2 layers underneath this rose. Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do to do that is I'm gonna trim these into sections here so that they're the same width roughly. So we'll lay those 2 on, peel off this tape. And then we have the second piece that's going to go on here. And the second piece is going to go on here. All right. Oh, actually, scratch that. you only need to have the double layer on one of these. So, double layer only needs to go on the bottom part because this one's already going to be sitting on this top layer. So, we only need a single layer on the top part of that. Oh, messed up. Okay, so single layer for the parts that are only going to be touching just the top rows, and the parts that are going to be touching the bottom paper is going to have 2 layers on it. So that way you have 2 layers across the entire thing there. Oops, we want to lay this up here. I need to move this down just ever so slightly. It's on the back, so that's okay. Alright, so now as we lay this on, we get that double layered effect, but you have this one that's on the first layer and this one that's on the second layer. So you're needing a total of 2 pieces of the mounting tape in order to get this top rows to be raised up equally across the entire thing. That's why you're only doing 1 layer then when it's touching the pink rows and 2 layers when it's touching the background. Okay, so that's how you get that effect. All right, now we are going to talk about this adorable bunny paper. So cute. So what we're going to do here is cut out one of these guys. Okay, so we're going to do that guy and we're going to do this guy. I love this bunny paper so much. It's so cute. All right, so these are the ones we're going to kind of be playing with here today. Okay. Grab a piece of here. Do it on the blue. All right, so you can decide which one you would like to do. I really like both of these a lot. They're so cute, but I think for the ease of making this just a little bit easier on us, I'm going to do the more basic one, and I'll do some other layering here. Okay, so, but you can kind of decide if you really like this one, and maybe I'll do one of each because they're really cute. We'll do this one in the purple, I guess. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look for the same bunny. And then we're just going to go ahead and fussy cut him out. And if there are any like really tiny details like the edge of his little bow, we don't really need to worry about cutting that out like really close or anything like that. We can just go ahead and cut that right off, because when we layer the little bunny on here, we're really going to be layering it directly on top of the other ones. So you're going to be able to see that little bow and all those little details anyway. Okay. All right. So now we'll trim his little ears down. Okay. So now I'm going to use one of these little pop dots because I'm just going to do the 1 layer on this guy, so I can add quite a bit more dimension here and feel okay with that. Okay. All right. Then when we go to add a little bit of ribbon or something later onto that, we can pop this forward more if we want to as well. So we kind of get that the double popping forward. And I realize the back of his little ears are going to need a little bit of pop dots as well. Whoops. Okay. All right, there we have it. So there we got this cute little guy. So you can see there's quite a bit more dimension on this one, which I really like. And this is kind of a cute little Eastery kind of a thing you can put like on a tiny little card if you do ATCs, something like that, a little half card, which is really sweet. In fact, I might actually take a moment, just do a tiny little bit of inking around the edge of this just to give it some more contrast. And I think I'm going to mount it up right now anyway, versus doing a double mounting, because I can always go in and add a little bit of ribbon or something later. There we go. That adds a little bit more contrast around the outside. And then, just because I want to add just a tiny bit more dimension, what I'm going to do is actually just do the thinner mounting tape on the back side. All right, so now we have a tiny little bit of dimension. Oops. got a little bit ink on that. But then that way it's just a tiny bit raised up on that. Oh, so cute. Whoops. And since I smeared it, let's just scoot that right over and cover up that smear. There we go. Much better. Cute. All right, and now for this little bunny guy over here, what I think I'll do here is just find the other one of these guys. So cute. And then we'll go ahead and cut that down. Of course, you could probably even take this to the next level if you wanted to and actually trim do the little leg and everything as well. And if you were to do that, you would want to probably do the leg and the little tail there. In fact, I might just go ahead and do that right now. Just to show that you can, even on things you wouldn't normally see that there's an extra dimension, extra layer there, you probably can find one. Excuse my mess on this side over here. Okay. I'm not going to use as much mounting tape this time. I used kind of a lot the last one. Alright, lay that in the middle there. And then, oh, where's my little guy going? Here it is. And lay this in the middle here, just to give that a tiny bit more dimension. And then the last layer will be, and this is a great way to use these little end pieces where maybe the tail or the ears are cut off, something on it is cut off, but you still want to use that. So I'm going to cut this all the way around here where that whole hind quarters, or not hind quarters, but like the hind leg might be. And then we'll add that final little dimension there. Whoops, piece is not quite small enough. All right, and there we have that. So again, kind of adding even more dimension there. So this is a really great technique also if you have a stamped image. This may be really intricate and there's lots of like foreground and background, so you kind of get that multi-layered kind of look. This is a great way to kind of create that kind of effect. Okay, so there we have cutting and paper layering. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you had fun. All right, have a great day, you guys. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.